Hey, 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 what's up, Crown Nation? It's your girl Naima with my Queen Nefertari. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, we are talking about multi-generational living. Now, this topic is going to be really, really interesting because not only was this something that was done a long time ago, lost its thunder here in America, and people are still doing it all across the world. But we want to also talk about some of our personal experiences with multi-generational living. Again, welcome. It's been a long week. And again, this is episode 10. Okay, all righty. What's up, Neff?
Hey, this is going to be a good topic. Like you said, it's something that, here in America is kind of like dwindled down over a period of time, but it's back now, slowly coming back for so many different reasons. And you're right, like it's still something that's very strong around the world and other places. This is just what they do. And of course, here, we know the Hispanic are like very well known for doing that. They come over and everybody lives together, work on some things, work on business, and then you move into the next phase, so
Right.
just being able to help each other move on up
And
financially.
the Asians do that here in America as well. But we're going to start off really quick with the short video. I do not own the rights to this video. This is her own blog channel and everything. But I thought that I was really trying to find someone African American that was talking about this, and I couldn't find any videos outside of the economic aspect of it. So, but I want to go ahead and just play this video really quick. I just want to go ahead and give them their shout out. This is There Is No Place Like Home, North Carolina. This is her specific, again, her YouTube channel. But I want to share this so that we can kind of see what's going on with the multi-generational. Okay, let's see. Uh-oh. I don't know what's going to happen when I press share. It's going to be all over the place.
Uh-oh.
Right.
That's all right. Our audience will work with us.
Yeah, work with us, audience. Work with us. Okay, let me see if I can move this over. And it's almost the end of Ramadan, so hey, everything is working in a slow motion kind of vibe. Okay, let's do that. Yeah. All right, let's get this started. Okay, hold on 1 second. Saying it's lost permission.
Today I'm talking about
Uh-oh, hold on. Gotta put it back on this screen because apparently it doesn't like it on the other screen. It is all good. Hold on, here we go. Thank you so much for your patience, audience. We love you. Hey, Sultana, what's going on? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My sister Ramadan Mubarak as well. We're going to do this share screen right here. Again, I don't know what's going to happen on this share screen. Okay.
That's all right. We'll work with it.
Right.
Just short blurb so we can.
But even if not, I'm going to play it anyway. Y'all can hear her. How about that?
That's cool too, because I can hear real good when you did it.
Let's just play it and you can hear her talking. Let me turn it up.
multi-generational homes. Once upon a time, the multi-generational homes were the norm. This is where you could find two or more adult generations living in the same household with the younger third generation. So you would be living in your home with your children, and then your parents would live there also. As America grew, it became common for a college student to graduate and move out and find their own home and start their own family. But right now, with the cost of living and the amount of debt Americans are carrying, the trend is people are starting to opt back into the multi-generational homes. College students are moving back in with their parents to save money, and the older generation adults are moving in with their children and their grandchildren instead of moving into retirement homes or assisted living homes. The
Mhm.
benefits for the older generation is that they have someone that can do the heavy lifting of tending to the home, and also someone there in case of an emergency. The benefit for the younger generation would be having someone there that's already lived through that season of life can offer them life experience and advice for any situation that's going to come up. And that third younger generation gets to build that relationship with that grandparent and learn how to connect with the older generation. And I hear a lot about privacy. It's one of the biggest concerns people have about switching to multi generational homes. If you're used to living on your own with just your immediate family, it's a valid concern. However, where there's a will, there's a way. And families are coming up with ways to make their homes both shared and private spaces.
Mhm.
Some are working with architects who can design the family home that contains both shared living space and private sections. Your bedroom might be on one end of the house, and your parents could have the other end of the house. Other homes even have different entries for private sections. If you're not looking to build an entirely new home, you can consider putting an addition on your home, maybe transforming your garage into a suite, or designating certain floors of your home, like the basement or the top floor is such and such as private space. If you're considering living in a multi generational home, it's super important to set those ground rules for yourself and
Okay.
for First, everyone should commit to making personal time for themselves. Just because you live in a home with multiple family members doesn't mean that your life has to become a never ending visit. Everyone should continue living their lives as they were previously, going to school, going to work, spending time with friends, having their own hobbies. And although grandparents do get to help out with the grandchildren, the parents shouldn't expect grandparents to act like constant child care service.
Okay.
Members of the household have to agree to respect one another and not just assume people will pick up the responsibilities without being asked. Most of all, it's important to communicate openly so that these issues don't build up without resolution. Whether you're trying to save money, care for a parent, or establish a close family unit, a multi generational home could be the right decision for you and your family. If you have questions and would like to see what these types of homes could offer, give us a call.
All right. Well, they're going to give us a call. How about that?
That was some really good info, all in just like a little nutshell.
Yes, yes. And so
Oh, that's
speaking
great.
of multi-generational, and again, this is something that, as she was saying, we used to do this a long time ago. And this whole context of like, hey, I'm going to college and then I'm going to get my own place. Um, it kind of began to shatter this whole image of what multi-generational family was, and then it also kind of created a whole sense of selfishness as well. So like, it's just me, mine, I got my own stuff, I don't. And oftentimes, sometimes when people would leave for college, they would not go back home. So you
Mhm.
would see people having not visited their parents in 10 years, 5 years, 15 years, you know what I'm saying, they haven't seen their brothers and sisters since they left home, things like that. And that also creates trauma,
Mhm.
generational trauma. So just kind of think about those things. So we want to go start off with some of the. Oh, 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 oh. Some of
Just
the.
the multi-generational households.
Yep.
Just kind of talking about just the benefits of it. We just heard her talk on it, but like for certain individuals, like being able to save money. So that's
Yeah.
like, for the whole house, because now you're only having to spend a small portion or a certain percentage, I would say, of
Mhm.
the money that you have coming in. So you should be able to save. And sometimes there's more strategy toward just the saving. Like maybe you might be saving because you guys are going to be putting that toward a business, or maybe you might be investing or just saving in some kind of way. But the point is you'll be able to save some money. So,
Right.
you don't have to pay the whole light bill and the whole, gas bill or the full rent or, things like that. So I've always kind of had a vision of my family, like my children, actually us being in the house together, but more mansion style. And I like how
Yeah.
she said on the video where she said, you've got because I call them wings. I got my wing, you got your wing, but she said a bedroom on
Right.
that end, because the point of it is that you at some point you're going to need to have your privacy. It's like you want to be together, you want to have those assets and be able to, for me, I can help the children, and I have grandchildren, so I can help them. But at the same time, at certain points, I'm like, hey, I got this meeting, I got this to do, I got that to do, or I need to work on this project, and I want to be able to still be able to do those things, but then have that, have those family meals and just family time, where there's game night or whatever. I just really think that that's like awesome to be able to do all of that. So, but the other biggest thing is responsibility, and she mentioned that. So you gotta be responsible. You got to be responsible, because nobody wants to feel like they've got like all of that load of, you got 20 people in the house, who's working?
Exactly. And not making the grandparents like the babysitters, like, oh,
Right.
I'm going to run out to the store. No, you need to let someone know you're running out to the store, so that the children are not just kind of like, oh, well, grandma's home or grandpa's home and no one's watching the children. So that's important as well.
Where your mom at? Where your daddy at? Oh, they left to go to so-and-so. Wait a minute. You know what?
Exactly. With no understanding of if you are about to leave, go somewhere or whatever. But USA Today is also saying that modern generational households are on the rise thanks to financial and emotional benefits. And some of us also saw this a lot during the pandemic. Like, people were like, oh, we're going to be stuck. We can't see our family. Let's just all move in together and all be living in one household so that we won't be away from each other during the pandemic. And again, as you have those multi-generational, I see Sultana's like, who's washing dishes and taking out the trash? Girl, that part. Because, one thing that Nefertari and I were talking about earlier is like, our sons still live with us. Not all of them, but, we do have sons that are all in their 20s. And so when you start thinking about that, right. So I specifically have a chart on my refrigerator that has everybody in the household has to do a dishwashing day except for me, because I do everything else. Okay, so I don't have a dishwashing day, but everyone else does. And then of course, usually I'll be probably cooking, so that's not an issue. But then who does take out the trash? And it can become an issue if those things aren't done by the person who are supposed to do them, or they're not done at the time they're supposed to do it.
Exactly. But you know what? I used to do that very thing that you're talking about, having a structured chore schedule all the way down to a T. And so over the years, I have gotten over, as the children started getting older. And then right now in my home, I just have my 21-year-old. Everybody else is gone. And then, as far as the older children, and then I've got my 8-year-old. And so Muhammad, I just keep him busy doing different things. And then, of course, my husband, he does a lot of stuff. And so, but trying to get, so Naima, when you talk about your chores for the dishes, how do you manage the other things in the house, like getting, or, the 20s? Because usually they're like, my life is busy. I got to do this, I got to do that. You constantly seeing them running. I'm like, hey, get that bathroom clean. Like, okay, I told you 2 days ago, get the bathroom clean. The bathroom's still dirty. Little things like that, like just being able to keep things rolling. So those are some of the things that you'll have to like.
Oh yeah, you have to legislate that. Yeah, actually, on my refrigerator door, dishes are on one side because we have this little dry erase magnet that goes on the refrigerator, and on the other side of it, right now it says, okay, who's going to mop the floor? Who's going to do the dining room and the living room and sweep and mop it? Who's going to take out all the trash in their room and then take the trash out to just like, what are y'all gonna do? Like, everybody has to do something. And again, I think it's more important if you begin to start like just teaching your children about responsibility when they're younger. If you know that you're going to be having multi-generational lifestyles, and even if you don't know it, just having them in a practice of cleaning regularly. I know that there was a generation of people where they were like, oh, it's okay if the kids don't clean up. No, it's not okay. Oh, it's okay if our house is not, it doesn't look in the best shape. No, it's not okay. It's because specifically, like, when people start thinking about being really, really lax in terms of like not having to clean up every single day. When we're talking about cleaning up, there's nice nasty, right? It's like spot cleaning up, and then there's deep cleaning, and deep cleaning should happen, every month or to 3 months. And then there's just clean. Like, when you go to bed, the house should be clean. I don't understand why it wouldn't be, but the house should be clean before you go to bed, so that when you wake up, the house is nice and all prim and
I think you
proper.
got that same bug, but there's not too many people out there like that.
Right, yeah, and so just coming up with those strategies, like, when my sons were younger, we had, bins, and so the bins, they were
Organization. So
toys, they were the cars, men, Legos, whatever.
yep.
Everything had a bin, and if that toy wasn't in that bin, that toy was gonna get thrown in the trash at night. And so if they wanted to keep their things, respect their
Mhm.
things, put them properly where they need to be, they knew that they needed to put those things up. And that helps in terms of like, okay, when you're getting ready to have generations of people. So now that my children are older, and they when they start having children, if they wanted to stay here, Ortez is always like, your mama wants y'all to live in a mansion. Well, how he want us to, want all of us to live together. But I do. I think that why are we spending $2,000, whatever, for rent a month? Even if you think about $1,500 times, let's just say you have 5 people in your family. That's
Mhm.
a lot of money. And you think about, okay, so really we could be spending $8,000 on a mansion where we could all live together, which would
Mhm.
be
That's right.
huge, right? It'd be huge. Nice, over 10,
Everybody got to
15,000.
make sure they do their part.
Okay, everybody got to make sure they do their part. But I'm telling you, when you got a mansion, then it's easier to put your money together and say, hey, let's all pitch in to get a person to come do the lawn. Let's
Mhm.
all pitch in to get a person to come out here and clean up this swimming pool because we got this mansion, right? And just thinking of how we can live large, living large. Like
Mhm.
living large is not just about like someone who has a house of 3 or 4 people and they're spending all their money, on trying to make sure that that household runs and functions. It's like, hey, let's do it with a whole bunch of people.
Right.
And it also teaches you really how to be able to communicate more properly and how to really not be selfish. When you have other people around, you have to kind of think like other people. So, like when it's time to eat, you're not just thinking about, oh, let me cook me some eggs. It's like, no, let me see who's hungry and let me cook eggs for everybody. Let me make sandwiches for everyone. And that collective
Yeah.
spirit actually goes a long, long way.
Right, right. So, one of the other things I was thinking about when you think about the responsibilities, like really this being having a multi living situation, it should really bring about less stress. And so one of the
Hmm.
things I said is that longevity is like one of the plus sides of
Right.
being able to have multifamily living. And
Yeah,
so
girl, because you're not stressed out.
yeah, you need to have that emotional support, when you need to with different things, So I think that's great. Like that's another good asset.
Right. And only in America do women not have support. It's ridiculous. You can go to Morocco and everyone has some support, whether they have a cook or someone that comes and cleans regularly. When we were in Senegal, everybody in their household had someone that would help with the household. And again, it's not just helping the woman, it's helping the household in general. And I think that again, when we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, we've kind of been led to believe that hey, the woman has to cook, clean, and all this other stuff. When even Islamically, that's not the position. It's like whoever can do that needs to do that. We know that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to sweep. That
Mhm.
wasn't like, oh, I'm doing the woman's job. No, the brother was helping with the household because he knew that the responsibility was on everyone. So we have to even think about like all of these premises that we are kind of developing. You know how I like to tell people, look, we think we live in and we woke and all that stuff. No, you are living a European lifestyle, which for
Mhm.
Europe, that's great. But as African American and people of color and brown people, we have different lifestyles and different cultures, and we cannot continue to assimilate to the white European culture because it doesn't necessarily fit us. And so when we start looking at all these changes and problems we're having, it's like you're not fitting in to the culture of your people. That's why no, black people don't have
Mhm.
dogs. I know y'all mad at me right now. No, we didn't have dogs, and if we did, it was Poncho, and he was in the backyard, and he was big, and he would eat your bones and your steak. Poncho wasn't in the house, in your bed, laying
It's
out with you.
In your bed, in your bed.
No, it wasn't happening. And again, not just those specific things, but even us, what we look like. Do we look black or do we look not black? What's
What are you
happening?
talking about? Physical appearance?
Yes, even our physical appearance is kind of like changing from, yeah, culturally. Like, can we look black? Like everybody else wants to look like us, but us. Like
Yeah,
long nails and long eyelash. That's not natural for us. Why are we doing that? But let me get it. Anyway, back to the multi-level.
for some of us, but
Some of us, right? But it's
that's
not.
the way
You
it's
know
good.
what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's like
Mhm.
it kind of goes to like even like, hey, let's wear straight hair, long straight hair, which
Mhm.
we know we're not saying we can't grow long hair, but we also know that our hair is not naturally straight. Even in
Mhm.
the Bible, it talks about Isa alayhi salam not having straight hair. He had some curly, kinky hair, and it was
Mhm.
probably number 4. And you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing? But anyway, let me get back to
Really,
that.
really. Hey, one of the other things that comes to my mind about that family life, family
Mhm.
style is like whenever I'm so used to having noise in the background, people moving, people coming and going, just over the years, even though things have kind of lightened up a little bit, I'm more so kind of getting over to that what they call empty nesters compared to where I was. But
Right.
when I'm at home by myself, I have a security system. But when I'm at home by myself, I realize like if my husband's not here or if my son's not here, it's like a different kind of feeling that I
Ooh,
have.
girl.
And so
Yeah.
like I don't really want to be by myself, No, even though
I
you
don't
need
either.
sometime by yourself, but I don't want to be by myself. And then you hear all the creaks and all of the this and that. And so even like the other day it's like taking a shower, like, I lock the door to the bedroom, make sure like nobody can walk in on me, nobody here, like, think about the movies and stuff. And so I
Right.
think that that's one of the things that's really good too, is having that security. And of course, on different levels, if you have older parents at the house, then,
Mhm.
they don't have to worry about certain things. A lot of times our older people, when they're at home, they live by themselves, between burglaries and stuff like that, they have to
Mhm.
deal with those kind of issues. But if you have somebody who's around, then, it's less likely for certain things to happen, but you got somebody there to be able to protect you and handle things if need be. And so that's definitely a plus for having multi-family living. So.
And also thinking about security, making sure also if you do have older people living in the home or you have children that have asthma or, you know, um, children and or adults that have specific conditions that you do have a medical alert on your security system. That's
Mhm.
very important because again, even though it can be several people living there, again, if everybody is out for the day, what happens to that specific person if they're not able to get the medical attention that they need? And so we want to make sure that people are thinking about that. Hey, it's great to have a ring, but if there's no medical on there with, somebody could fall and hit their head or anything like that, it's just
Mhm.
we want to make sure that we're doing security on all levels. So that's important
Mhm.
as well. And then because it is so many people in the house, I know that you and I love like, oh, let's get all the kids together, have movie night. And the kids are like, what? We're like those kind of moms. But even if not, it's okay to have like movie night in your room and have your
Mhm.
own personal space and everything. But again, making sure that you also find time individually, not just for your partner, because I know a lot of people are always talking about, hey, find time for your spouse. That's great. But also find time for your children. Find
Mhm.
time for your parents, find time for your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, who and whomever you're living with. Find individual time with those people. It's so beautiful to like have those people in the home. Then you all leave out together on a special date, whether it's a aunt, niece date, grandma, granddaughter date, all these different
Yeah, in
things.
the past week, I was thinking I wanted to set up a date with my son, my 21-year-old. I was like, man.
Yes.
And then, he had a birthday last month and we weren't really able to do anything. And then I was out of town. No, he was actually out of town for his birthday. And so I was
Hmm.
like, it's that time, I kind of want to do a
Yeah.
little date. And so, yeah, that's good to be able to go out on a date with, all your relationships,
Hmm.
that are in
Right.
the household, of course, but then even thinking about your own self too.
Yes.
We kind of talked about that a few weeks ago too, but taking time for self. Uh,
Hmm.
so that you could be able to do all the rest of that stuff.
Exactly. And so that you're not so exhausted. I know we have one friend of ours who every Wednesday, like it's her time. So sometimes she's like, girl, sometimes I'm too tired. I just go to sleep. I'm like, no, girl, that's got to change. You gotta get out of the house. Like for some time here, she used to come over and we used to watch oh man, This Is Us, or we used to watch Queen Sugar, and she hasn't been over in a long time. So I'm telling you right now, it's time, girl. And
Yeah, talk about me this time, somebody
no,
else.
let's talk about you this time, right? And then, of course, I would love to have people over to eat those and drink those tubachinos, okay? All of that stuff.
Mhm.
So my mom doesn't live here, so of course I don't have the luxury of like necessarily living with her. But then you also have to think about like those angst with your family, right? Like if you stayed with your mother or your brothers or whatever, and you're like, they kind of get, it's just certain things where when you get to the cusp of it, you're like, I don't know if I can do this regularly.
I think that's why a lot of African Americans, you see them want to be on their own and do their own thing.
Yeah,
Like, well, we got to be able to like work together, and
exactly.
everybody's kind of got their way of what they want to do. But then all of that is the things that you have to talk about, and all of that's
Right,
also the reasons that you have to be able to identify the spaces, as we heard in the video at the beginning, on
right.
whether you're going to have the top level, middle level, bottom level, or you got a certain room in a certain area where you have your retreat to be able to go back to, when you need to. And
Yeah.
then the central area, being able to thinking about like the space that you have for the family,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's, you're playing games or watching TV or just sitting down talking, or, even the prayer room, just any. So you have your central locations, and you want to make sure it kind of like fits whatever it is that your lifestyle is, whatever it is
Right.
your routine is, whatever you do on a daily or weekly basis, that would be good too. And all
Yeah.
of that goes back to organization.
It does. And I love how in Senegal they actually have like levels. So like, hey, auntie is on level 2. And so they'll have like 4 or 5 different levels. And every
House
different
is
family.
this?
Huh?
What kind of house is this?
Like they're like
Four
they're
or
like
five different levels.
it's almost kind of like a box, right? Meaning like the box is kind of like in the center is like a garden.
Okay.
And then it's kind of like a square like this. So like you have a floor, but there's like rooms on each floor like this. And like usually like on one side is open to where the stairs are to go up each one. And then it's like a U, it's like a U on, so each level is a U. And there's like different family members living on different each one.
You just gave me another idea thinking about that, though.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about condos or apartments or homes like that, that's another idea. Even if it's not all, you got your whole apartment separate or condo
Exactly.
separate, but you're in the same unit and you're
Yeah.
like kind of still together. I know it's a little bit different, but you're so close. Like some families, they might buy houses on the same block or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Keep you on the same block in the same neighborhood. So that's like another thing.
Yeah.
For me, 1, 2, 3, 4 of my children are in different they're like all over different states.
Right.
Definitely not on the same block, and then my daughter is about maybe 30 minutes away. So
Okay.
it's a little different,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that if we had been maybe, if our parents had different knowledge of that, we would probably all be living together. That's just the reality. And so, like, if we want to create that for ourselves and for our grandchildren, I think that this is, of course, definitely the time to do that, because I want to live near my grandkids, because I want to be able to like, hey, here's your children. Go back and do my own thing.
Love on them for a little bit. I told somebody the other day, I said, I understand this thing now. I'll call my daughter and be like, depending on what it is that I'm doing, but then I know I have just a little bit, and my son, he's going to be going on a trip, him and his wife soon. And he said, from this date to that date, and I was doing this. It's 5 whole days, 5 whole nights. I'm gonna need, because I got some other stuff going on that time from. I'm gonna need some help with that.
Right.
But it also makes me think about, for my mom, and I think I maybe mentioned this on a previous show, but when we talk about the difference in how it used to be, I think my mother and my father both had that shared experience. My father with his cousins and his mother's siblings, they used to all kind of be around the block, like together.
I see.
And then, like for my mother and her brother, they stayed with their grandmother for a while, and even to a point where, even when my grandmother moved, they still stayed with the grandmother until a certain point. Then they moved with. So yeah, that's the way it used to be for a
Yeah,
lot
and
of.
it's no shame in that. It's no shame if you like people think of it as shame, like, oh, he still lives with his parents.
Mhm.
Okay, but if he can still maintain a
Well,
wife,
other things like right.
right, right. It's like that's okay if he lives with his parents, or that's okay if she lives with her parents. And me personally, I've never lived alone.
Mhm.
I moved from my parents' house to like when I graduated from high school. I lived in an apartment with 3 other girls, and then I lived with my brother, and then from my brother, I lived with my mom and dad again, and then from there, I got married. I've never
Mhm.
been by myself, so it's kind of like I'm okay with that. It's okay to not have to live alone because again, there's certain things that come with living alone and also your mindset to kind of think about like, hey, when I'm living alone, I don't have to ask anybody anything. So
Mhm.
then when you have to live with someone, it's
You have to give
sometimes
back.
more difficult. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
difficult to break those
kind of set
ideals that you
in
have
your own
set in
ways.
your head, right? Because you've been single, living by yourself for 3, 4, 5 years. You have everything your way only. And then when you have to make those compromises, it's sometimes very, very difficult to do that.
Mhm.
Another aspect of it is the financial aspect. So, like, even when you're looking at or thinking about generation families, it's like, hey, if we did have or wanted to purchase a mansion, they're going to look at everybody's income,
Mm.
which means that you can qualify for more house. How exciting is that?
So now wait a minute. Now this is the part I'm not too sure about. And let's just get into a little bit more detail for the audience. So are you
Okay.
saying for each person that they're looking at their income, but they're adding up the income for each adult in the household to say this is what it is in a lump sum?
Yes, because what you would do with multi-family or multi-generational living or real estate is that you are putting anyone that wants to be a part of the real estate on that loan. But something else to think about is also they're looking at everyone's debt. So
Mhm.
again, if everyone has all income, also
Mhm.
looking at everyone's debt. So hopefully no one has an excessive amount of debt that's going to kind of circumvent us trying to get a bigger house and a bigger lifestyle. But that's something to think about. I'm
Yeah,
still
and
trying
same.
that mansion.
And so in the same way that people prepare to buy a house individually,
Hmm.
we can prepare as a group. Like, okay, I'm working on this and
Yeah,
working on that. Okay, you ready? Okay, this one. Look, we just got 2 more, and you help them get to that point, and then you
right.
come in and do it together. So even
Oh
if
yeah.
you're not ready yet, you can get ready, just like you get ready if you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So still looking for that mansion. Hint, hint.
I didn't realize we both were thinking the same thing. I've always
Oh
wanted.
yeah, because remember at one point we were like, oh, let's just live on the same street and have all of our
Yeah, I
kids
do
on the
remember
same.
that. Yep.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that would be awesome. Okay. And then the last thing we want to talk about before we go out is boundaries. We kind of talked about it a little bit earlier,
But yes.
but boundaries are so important. Again, making sure that you understand and respect each other's privacy. So, no, just because we all stay in the house together doesn't mean you can just walk into my room.
And pulled my drink out of the refrigerator out that I put there and I was coming back for, huh?
Okay. And no, you can't eat that popcorn that has mom's popcorn.
Right. You gotta write your name on stuff.
Yeah, write your name on stuff, girl. That's what a marker and stickers are very valuable when it comes to that.
Mhm. Look. I brought 5 containers for the house to share, but this one right here, this one's for me.
Exactly.
This little
Exactly. I
bitty
love
bottle
that.
here, this is mine.
I love that. And then it also again helps out with everybody. Hey, who's gonna buy all the cereal for this month? Who's gonna do like different things like that? I think that
Right.
also brings about variety because someone say, you know what, I'm gonna buy the cereal, and you don't know what they're gonna come back with. Because a mom knows all of her children, but then when children go to buy stuff, they're buying stuff for themselves and they want everybody else to like it.
You know what that makes me think of is like my son now, every now and then he goes to the grocery store, but when he does go to the grocery store, he's really buying something that he has a taste for.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's something that sits there or a meal that he's planning. And then he really loves to cook, and he actually makes some pretty good meals too. And so, and I love people to cook for me. Like, yeah, go ahead. And so I was
Okay.
he was doing a lot of cooking. So I said, when I get back, I'm gonna need you to keep doing that. But what I notice is that some of the meals that he do prep and plan, or they're really very tasty and they're different. Like when you talk about variety and wondering what kind of cereal they're gonna go get, when he puts those meals together, I was like, okay, this is really good. But he loves doing like pasta dishes too. But so being able to have that variety, we talked about being able to, we're foodies, and so we love to eat.
Okay,
And
we do too,
travel the
honey.
country with the food.
Right.
Reminds me about the iftar the other day. That was really good.
Yes, wasn't it good? Girl, I still have the relish table on the table. I'm about to finish that out tonight.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Naima did some cooking the other night, and she's like, and yes, everything is from scratch.
Okay, because that's what I do.
So that was really good. But that's one of the plus things that, when you have multiple people in the house, just ideas on menus and food, and that's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. Especially when you're tired and you know you're tired, but nobody else really knows you're tired. And then the kids come and say, "Hey mom, you want a shrimp po' boy?" Yeah, you're gonna make it or you're gonna buy it. I don't care how I get it. Yeah, I want one.
Yes, exactly.
It's awesome. I love that. So just some really, really great tips and tools if anyone is interested in the multi-generational living, because of course we want to come up together. Right? So again, we want to make sure, hopefully you all enjoyed this series. We are so excited and getting so close to our beloved Nafisa's happy day in union coming up. And so hopefully you'll be able to see more of her in season 6, if not season 6, season 7, inshallah, because we're hoping to continue to keep
breaking up just a little bit.
Keep it rolling. Breaking up.
Yep.
Not only is it the internet, it's the fasting. Okay, it's the everything is breaking up. It's like but I was saying that we are waiting for the beautiful nuptials of Nafisa, and hopefully she will be able to join us more with season 6, because season 5 is coming to a close. Can you believe it?
Flying.
Wow, time is so flying. And then of course, if not for season 6, season 7, because I hope that we still be rolling. I'm so excited about that. So yes, we are encouraging everybody to
the next one.
like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Instagram. And make sure you tell everybody, because what we're noticing is that people in our community are just now finding out about the show 5 seasons later, but it is okay. We love it, Crown Nation. We hope that you continue to share, and hopefully we'll be able to we'll continue to add ourselves to different podcast platforms. So I keep telling people, hey, do you know about our TV show? That's how you know I'm old. This is not a TV show.
Podcast.
It's a podcast
show. And they go, oh, you're having a fashion show? No.
Exactly. But it's all good. It's all good. We're look, almost over 50. I'm almost over 50. I'm coming up on 50 in Nefertari and Nafisa.
Well, it's a good thing. I don't mind telling my age.
Girl, honey, you don't mind, because honey, it's all about the crisp.
I've always been the kind. I just blurt it out to everybody. But I know some women, especially, don't like to tell their age. I've never been like that. But I was just thinking,
and that's other cultures too, because they don't look well. They don't look well for their age, so they don't tell their age. We look alhamdulillah for our age. So yes, we are all over 50.
I had somebody the other day tell me, they was like, what? Like, exactly. I didn't even think that. Like, it sounded like Muhammad saying, but he was like, what? It's like, I would have put you in your 30s. I'm like,
thank you. Right. Love that. Yes. So excited. So again, we will see you next week. What are we talking about next week? Because it's after Eid. Let me see.
Okay. I was going to say, Ramadan Mubarak.
Yeah, Ramadan Mubarak and Eid Mubarak before we go out. We want to say Eid Mubarak to all of the Muslims who will be ending their fast, hopefully tonight, and if not tonight, tomorrow night after the moon sighting. But Eid Mubarak to everybody.
Let me tell you, next week is know when to say when. How to self-preserve. We're talking about the frog story, and this is a Mother's Day special. Okay, so definitely tune in for next week.
Yes, and if you don't know how to self-preserve, woo, honey, it's gonna be so juicy. Okay, so and we're probably I don't know, maybe we'll pre-record, maybe we'll see. We'll see what happens, everybody. But again, Eid Mubarak. Because after this episode is over, hopefully tonight we'll be doing the moon sighting, and if not, it's going to be Eid in a couple of days. So make sure that you all take time for yourselves, your family, get those gifts, get the decorations going on, because we know how special this time is, not only for ourselves, but also for our family. And may Allah accept everyone's fast, everyone's prayers, everyone's good acts. And of course, I go to the Atlanta Masjid. So if you have not made your donation to the 3030, this is the last day that you can make that donation for 3030, which is of course $30,000 in 30 days. We've been doing this for this is 5 or 6 years straight, so make sure you make your donation and make it count before the end of Ramadan. So we'll see you all soon, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Peace, Crown Nation.
See you next week.
See ya.